Captain Marilee tightened her grip on the controls as her scout ship, the Aurora, drifted through Korath's dense orange clouds. The planet below was scared by storms and ancient battlefields. Lightning cracked above the rotting husks of old war vessels. Mara felt both awe and caution in her chest. Preparing to descend, she set into her suit's comm unit. Her voice echoed softly through the cockpit. She adjusted the ship's sensors, searching for signs of life. Moments later, the scanner beeped. A single life form stood on a rocky outcrop near the crashing waves of a sulfur sea. The figure wore royal garb, shining silver and deep blue, with an emblem of a crescent moon on the chest. The suit marred by dust and cracks in the paint. A princess, Mara realized. But why alone? And why on this storm-torn world? The Aurora landed with a gentle thud. Mara stepped onto the rocky ground in her suit, heels clicking on jagged stones. Gray clouds swirled overhead. She switched on her external lights, revealing the figure more clearly. The princess turned away at the sound. Long dark hair fell in soft waves down her back. She wore a hood, shielding her face. Mara held up a hand in greeting. "Princess Ainara." Mara called in calm tones. "I am Captain Marilee. I come in peace." Ainara did not reply. She moved away without urgency, but without trust. Each step she took seemed measured, as if testing the strength of the ground. Rivers of red dust streaked her boots. Mara followed at a safe distance. The air smelled of sulfur and ozone. Lightning flashed in the distance. The princess paused beside a crashed shuttle, its hull torn open. Metal beams bent like branches in a dead forest. "Your ship?" Mara asked gently. Ainara's shoulders stiffened. She pressed her gloved hand against the side of the ruined shuttle. Dust fell from its edges. Mara crouched. "I can help. I have tools and medical supplies. We can fix your ship or treat any injuries." Ainara glanced once at Mara's lit helmet, then turned back to the shuttle. Her silence weighed heavy. Mara rose and stepped closer, keeping her hands visible. "My world values life. I will not harm you. We share common goals, survival and safety." Ainara's hand trembled as she brushed a bent edge of metal. Finally, she spoke in a low voice, rough as gravel. "I do not trust outsiders." Mara felt a pang. The princess's reason was unknown, but her fear was clear. "Then let me earn your trust," Mara said. "I know fear can come from pain, but you do not have to face it alone." Ainara's hood slipped, revealing soft pale skin and wide green eyes clouded by sorrow. She turned away and walked toward a narrow canyon. The wind howled, carrying her silence like a shield. Mara activated her comm. "Aurora, stand by. I will follow." She took a steady breath and stepped forward, determined to uncover the princess's story and earn her trust under Korath's stormy sky. Mara adjusted the bright beam of her helmet light as she followed Ainara into the narrow canyon. Jagged rocks rose on both sides, blocking most of the wind. The sound of their boots on loose gravel echoed around them. Ainara's steps were sure but light. Mara matched her pace, careful not to push too close. Shadows danced on the canyon walls as the storm raged above. Small streams of rainwater seeped through cracks and dripped onto the dusty ground. Finally, Ainara paused beside a pool of muddy water. She crouched slowly, staring at her own reflection. Mara stood a short distance away, silent, waiting. After a few heartbeats, Ainara spoke. Her voice was soft. "This water, it reminds me of home." She touched the surface, rippling the reflection. "Home is gone now." Mara stepped forward. "Tell me about it," she said gently. "Maybe sharing will help." Ainara hesitated. She looked up at Mara's faceplate, then back to the water. Her green eyes held distant pain. "My home is the palace in the sky," she said, "high above the world, where my people lived in peace. I was the youngest in my family." Her voice cracked. "Until the revolt." Mara listened, heart heavy. The canyon's walls seemed to hold the princess's sorrow. What happened? Mara asked. Ainira closed her eyes. My sister led our armies. She trusted many who betrayed her. They took the throne by force. They murdered my family to claim power. I escaped before they could find me. A low wind whistle cut through her words. Ainira looked toward the open sky. Lightning lit her face. They call me traitor. They want me dead. Mara knelt beside Ainira. You did not betray anyone, she said. The real traitors hide behind lies. I will help you clear your name. Ainira's shoulders trembled. She wiped a tear from her cheek. Why would you help me? You know nothing of my people. Mara offered a kind smile. I know fear. I know loss. And I know hope. I have lost friends in battle too. I fight for them in memory. I will fight for you now. Ainira studied Mara closely. The canyon groaned quiet except for distant thunder. After a long moment, she nodded. I accept your help, Captain Lee. Mara stood. First, we need shelter from this storm. Then we plan. She pointed deeper into the canyon. There is a cave ahead. It looks firm. Ainira rose and followed. As they walked, the princess tucked her sister's locket into Mara's hand. The small silver chain held a tiny portrait. Keep this safe, Ainira whispered. It is all I have left. Mara tucked the locket in her pocket. I will guard it with my life. They reached the cave entrance. Water dripped from the rocky ceiling. Mara activated a small portable light on her wrist. The chamber glowed soft white. Inside, flat stones formed a rough bench. Mara unpacked a foldable field blanket and laid it across the stones. Ainira watched, her expression guarded but calmer. Mara produced a small ration pack and offered it. Ainira took it and ate slowly, eyes fixed on the cave wall. The storm's fury dulled here. Safe for a moment, the princess and the captain sat side by side in uneasy peace, bound by shared loss and the first spark of trust. Morning light filtered into the cave as Mara packed away her camp gear. The storm had passed, leaving fresh green moss on the rocks. Outside, the sky was pale blue. Ainira stood at the entrance, breathing the clean air. Mara offered a water canteen. Drink, she said. We have a long day. Ainira took a slow sip. She handed the canteen back with delicate fingers. Thank you, she whispered. Mara smiled. We need to reach the high plateau before night. From there, we can signal my ship. Ainira nodded. She adjusted her royal cloak, straightening the silver clasp. The cloak was heavy but clean. Its deep blue color stood out against the gray stones. They stepped out of the cave. The canyon stretched ahead, twisting upward toward a rocky ledge. Tiny ferns grew in cracks. Fresh rainwater ran in streams along the walls. Mara led the way, scanning with her wrist sensor. No patrols near here, she said. But we must be quick. Ainira followed, silent at first. Then she looked at Mara. Why did you come for me? No one else did. Mara paused on a slanted rock. She faced Ainira. I believe I saw someone in need. I promised to help. My duty is to protect life, no matter where it comes from. Ainira studied Mara's faceplate. On my world, life is a prize. You take it or give it. You kill or you bow. Mara's brow furrowed. That sounds cruel. Ainira shook her head. It was true. Until my sister fell. Then I saw mercy in moments I never knew. Mara placed a hand on Ainira's shoulder. Then let us make a new truth, one of justice and trust. Ainira's eyes glistened. She drew a steady breath. I will try. They climbed on. The path narrowed. Rocks fell sometimes, but stopped by metal nets. The canyon ridge rose steep. Mara helped Ainira over a ledge. Ainira looked down with careful eyes, then stepped forward. At noon, they reached a small plateau. The wind was strong, but the sun was warm. From here, Mara's ship should see their signal. Mara unpacked a small beacon. She placed it on a flat stone and activated it. A bright blue flare shot skyward. The beam pulsed every 5 seconds. Naira watched it pulse. Her lips curved faintly. "It is beautiful." Mara nodded. "My ship will pick it up soon." They sat on the plateau's edge. Below, the canyon wound away. Above, distant mountain peaks rose through low clouds. Naira broke the silence. "Tell me of your home, Captain Lee." Mara laughed softly. "It is a small green world. Oceans, forests, mountains. People live in cities and farm the land. We build machines like the Aurora." Naira closed her eyes as if tasting the words. "It sounds peaceful." Mara touched Naira's hand. "It can be. But we must protect it." Naira opened her green eyes. "I want to protect something again." Mara smiled. "Then you will." A distant rumble echoed through the canyon. The Aurora responded to the beacon. Engines roared. Mara stood and waved. The ship's lights shimmered against blue sky. Naira watched with awe. The princess took a step forward, no longer afraid. Together, they faced the future, a human and an alien bonded by hope and the promise of trust. The Aurora descended slowly, landing on the plateau with soft vibrations that hummed through the ground. Dust rose around its landing struts. Captain Mara Lee signaled the ramp to open. A cool breeze swept over the plateau, carrying the faint scent of rain. Naira stood beside Mara, watching the ship. Her heart pounded as she prepared to step aboard. She adjusted the silver clasp on her cloak, smoothing its folds. Mara offered her a hand. "Ready?" she asked. Naira nodded and took Mara's hand. She climbed the ramp, each step steady but cautious. Inside the Aurora, bright lights and clean panels made Naira blink. The air smelled of metal and oil. Mara guided her to the cockpit. "This is where we control the ship," she said. "You'll feel the controls under your hands." She pointed to the captain's chair. "Why don't you try?" Naira hesitated, then sat. She placed her hands on the controls. A soft glow lit up under her fingers. She pressed a small button, and the view screen showed the plateau below. "It moves with your touch," Mara said. "Gently now. Push forward." Naira leaned the joystick, and the display tilted. The canyon walls and distant mountains swung across the screen. Naira's lips curved into a small smile. "It is like painting with light." Mara nodded. "It is. Now stop." Naira eased the control vac. The view centered again. Mara turned from the console. "We have work to do," she said. "I need to send a message to my command. You should rest. The cabin is back there." She gestured toward the rear of the ship. Naira stood and followed. She found a small cabin with a soft bed and a single window. The storm was gone. Blue sky stretched across the view. She lay down and closed her eyes, feeling safe for the first time in many days. Meanwhile, Mara returned to the cockpit. She typed a message on a holo keyboard. "Princess Naira rescued. Transport to base. Medical check. Prepare diplomatic escort," she wrote. She sent it with a tap. Back in the cabin, Naira dreamed of her sister's smile. She remembered springs in the palace gardens and laughter in marble halls. Her chest ached with longing. Then Mara's words echoed in her mind. "We must protect it." A knock on the cabin door woke her. Naira sat up. Mara entered, holding a tray with warm tea and simple biscuits. "I thought you might like this," Mara said softly. Naira took the cup. Steam curled in the air. She sipped and felt warmth ease her worries. Mara sat beside her. "Rest well. Tomorrow we set course for the space station." Naira looked out the window at the plateaus and canyons below. "I never thought I would leave Korath again." Mara smiled. "You are safer with me." Naira met Mara's eyes. "Thank you, Captain Lee, for saving me, and for giving me hope." Mara stood. "Sleep now. Tomorrow holds new challenges, but we face them together." Naira nodded and closed her eyes. Outside, the Aurora rested on the plateau under a bright sky. Inside, a princess dreamed of home, and a captain prepared for the journey ahead. Together, they formed a fragile bond, one that would grow stronger as they flew toward justice and healing. Morning light streamed through the cabin window. Anira woke to gentle hums of the aurora in flight. She stretched and sat up, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. A soft breeze flowed from the air vents, carrying the scent of recycled air and fresh tea. She stepped into the corridor and found Mara in the galley, preparing breakfast. The captain's movements were calm and precise as she placed fruit, eggs, and warm bread on a small table. "Good morning," Mara said with a smile. "Sleep well?" Anira nodded. "Yes, better than I have in a long time." They sat together, eating quietly as the ship glided between stars. Below them, Korath's red clouds faded into distant space, and Naira watched the view, her heart tinged with both sadness and relief. After breakfast, Mara led Naira to the main deck. The space station Elysia Prime appeared on the view screen, a vast ring structure circling a blue gas giant. Lights blinked along its surface like stars trapped in metal. "This is our destination," Mara said. "Elysia Prime hosts diplomats from many worlds. There you can clear your name." And Naira studied the ring. "I will face my people soon." Mara placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "And I will be by your side." And Naira nodded, drawing strength from Mara's words. "I wish my sister were here." Mara looked at her thoughtfully. "Your sister believed in peace. You carry that belief now. She would be proud." And Naira closed her eyes, picturing her sister's gentle smile. "Thank you." The ship shuddered slightly as it docked. Automatic clamps held the Aurora in place. Airlocks hissed. Mara tapped her wrist display. "We have 10 minutes before the station's doors open." They walked down the ramp into a smooth corridor lit by soft white lights. Aliens of many shades passed them. Tall beings with silver skin, small creatures with feathery wings, and humans in blue uniforms. Each paused briefly to glance at the princess in royal garb. Naira kept her head high. Mara guided her through a security checkpoint. Voice scanners recorded their identities, and Naira's record showed Princess Naira of Korath. Fugitive. Mara frowned. "We will fix that." They entered a large atrium filled with potted plants and benches. Holo ads floated in the air, showing news of peace talks and cultural festivals. The station felt alive. Mara led Naira to a private cafeteria, a small, quiet room with a view of the gas giant's swirling storms. They sat at a table by the window. "You should rest before your hearing," Mara said. "Here is water and fruit." Naira sipped water, gazing at the giant world beyond. "I feel nervous." Her voice was a whisper. Mara reached across the table and placed her hand over Naira's. "Nerves are natural. But remember, you speak truth. Let it guide you." Naira took a deep breath. "I will." Mara stood. "I will bring your lawyer now." She tapped her compad. "Layla, meet me in the cafeteria in 5. Naira watched Mara leave, then turned her gaze back to the giant blue world. Her mind raced with memories of betrayal and hope. Soon, she would stand before the council and face her accusers. But with Mara's promise and the courage in her heart, Naira felt ready. She was no longer alone. She would fight for justice and for her home. Princess Naira waited in the private cafeteria as Mara stepped out to fetch her lawyer. The gas giant's blue storms swirled beyond the window, casting shifting patterns of light into the room. Naira's heart hammered in her chest. Moments later, Mara returned with a tall figure in a dark suit. Layla Wren, a seasoned interstellar lawyer known for winning difficult cases. Layla offered a calm smile and extended her hand. "Princess Naira, I'm honored to represent you." Naira stood and shook Layla's hand. The lawyer's grip was firm. Naira felt a surge of confidence. Layla motioned to the table. "We have 15 minutes before your hearing. Let's review your statement." Mara handed Layla a datapad displaying the charges. treason against Korath's crown, conspiracy to overthrow the council, and aid to enemy forces. All false, Layla noted. Naira took a deep breath. I want them to know the truth, that I fought to save my family, not betray them. Layla nodded. We will focus on your actions during the revolt. First, you evacuated innocents. Second, you resisted coup leaders. And third, you sent intelligence to loyal forces. Clear, simple facts. Mara added, I witnessed her courage. The princess risked everything to help survivors. Layla tapped the datapad. Good. We will present your testimony and my evidence. Trust the process. Naira felt nerves settle. She looked at Mara's steady gaze and Layla's confident posture. Thank you. Layla stood and collected the papers. Follow me, princess. It's time. They left the cafeteria and walked through the station's bright halls. Naira's cloak trailed softly on the floor. Other travelers paused to stare but quickly moved on. They arrived at a grand chamber with tall doors of polished alloy. A guard opened them. Inside, a semicircular bench held 5 council members, figures draped in ceremonial robes and jeweled insignia. Holoscreens displayed Naira's face and list of charges. Layla guided Naira to a podium. Mara stood to the side, ready with her comm unit to record testimony. A hush fell. The lead counselor, a stern being with pale skin and silver hair, spoke. Princess Naira, you stand accused. How do you plead? Naira took a steady breath. Her voice was clear. Not guilty. A counselor clicked a holopen. State your name and relation to Korath's crown. I am Naira Sol, youngest daughter of Queen Silai. I served as royal envoy and scout. Her voice echoed off the chamber walls. The lead counselor nodded. You are accused of treason. Explain your actions on Korath during the revolt. Naira unfolded her memory like a map. When my sister's army fell into a trap, I led civilians to safety. I sent distress signals to loyal forces. I never attacked my people. I only protected the innocent. She held up her sister's locket. This belonged to my family. I kept it to honor them, not to hide from justice. Layla presented holographic images of rescued civilians and intercepted traitor communications. The chamber grew silent. One counselor spoke softly. Princess Naira, your evidence contradicts the charges. We will deliberate. The lead counselor rose. You are free to go. We will send our verdict soon. Naira bowed deeply. Relief flooded her. She glanced at Mara and Layla, tears of gratitude in her green eyes. Outside the chamber, Mara embraced Naira. You did it. Naira smiled through tears. Thank you for believing in me. Together, they walked into the station's bright corridor, hope leading their way. Princess Naira and Captain Mara Lee met in a small conference room on Elysia Prime. Pale light shone through a round window, making soft patterns on the floor. Naira sat at a metal table, still wearing her royal cloak. Mara stood beside her, calm and steady. A door hissed open. A tall figure entered, a former commander of Korath's loyal guard, Commander Jorik. His uniform was plain, but his posture was proud. Princess, he said, bowing once, I pledge my sword to your cause. Naira rose and shook his hand. Thank you, Commander. Her voice was quiet but firm. Jorik laid datapads on the table. We have intercepted secret files. They named the traitors who led the revolt. He tapped a pad. Look here, Minister Salvik and General Korin. They sent orders to kill your family. Naira's green eyes widened. She gently touched the screen. They lied to our people. They covered their crimes with lies. Mara leaned forward. We need proof. We must show this evidence to Korath's citizens. Then they will see the truth. Commander Jorik nodded. The station's broadcast tower can beam the files to Korath's HoloNet network, but security is tight. We must move at night. Naira stood taller. I will face them. I will speak to my people. Mara smiled. and I will protect you." That evening, Mara, Anira, and Jorik slipped through quiet corridors. The station lights were dim, and few travelers remained. They carried holokeys and wore simple uniforms to blend in. At the broadcast center, a guard blocked the door. Mara stepped forward. "Routine check, Captain Lee and envoy." She showed forged passes. The guard scanned them and stepped aside. Inside, rows of control panels glowed red and blue. Jorik connected a data pad to the main console. Anira stood before a holoscreen. She took a deep breath and tapped the play button. A hologram of the traitors' meeting filled the room. Salvik and Corinne appeared, their voices clear. They spoke of plans to seize power, of silencing the royal family. Anira watched with steady calm. Mara guarded the door. When traitor agents tried to enter, she raised her comm unit. "Security breach in broadcast room," she announced. Guards hurried away from the door, not toward it. Anira spoke into a nearby mic. Her voice echoed through the station speakers and out to Korath's network. "People of Korath, you deserve the truth. These men betrayed your trust. They killed my family for power. I am Princess Anira Sol, rightful heir. Stand with me for justice." Her words carried across star systems. Soldiers on Elysia Prime halted in their tracks. Civilians paused in corridors. The hologram evidence played again, names and faces glowing above the console. When the broadcast ended, Anira turned to Mara and Jorik. "Now they know." They slipped out before the agents returned. Outside, the station's bright lights shone on their faces. Anira lifted her head, hope and resolve in her green eyes. Mara clasped her hand. "Next, we return to Korath." Anira nodded. "We go home." Together, the princess, the captain, and the commander walked toward the Aurora, ready to reclaim Anira's world with truth as their weapon. 2 seconds, the Aurora cut through space as it raced toward Korath. In the cockpit, Captain Mara Lee monitored the ship's systems, while Princess Anira sat behind her, gazing at the planet's green and brown surface growing larger on the view screen. White clouds drifted across rocky land, forming patterns like rivers of mist. Anira clenched her hands in her lap. She felt hope and fear at once. "Will they welcome me?" she asked softly. Mara glanced back. "Many will listen now." They saw the truth. But traitors still hold power on the ground. We must be careful. Anira nodded. She touched the silver locket worn around her neck. Inside was her sister's portrait. "I must face them soon." Mara set the ship's course for the old royal palace. "We arrive in 2 hours. I will land in the palace courtyard. Then we walk inside together." Anira took a steady breath. "I am ready." Below, Korath's moon cast pale light across the city. Towering spires rose between hills. The palace stood on the highest hill, its white stone walls gleaming. Windows of stained crystal caught the sun. The Aurora descended, engines whispering over the courtyard's smooth marble. Guards in dark armor surrounded the ship, weapons raised. Mara opened the comm unit. "This is Captain Lee. Princess Anira returns under safe conduct." One guard lowered his rifle. He spoke into his helmet. "We copy. Welcome, Princess." The ramp lowered. Anira stepped out, her cloak swirling around her. Mara followed closely. The courtyard was silent. Soldiers and servants watched from the edges. Anira lifted her chin and began to walk toward the palace doors. Each step echoed on the marble. Inside, the grand hall was empty, save for tall columns and broken banners. At the far end, the throne stood empty. Light from high windows fell on scattered petals from past celebrations. Mara stayed just behind Anira as she approached the throne. A hush settled. Then, at the balcony above, the traitor minister Salvik and General Corinne appeared. Salvik's lips twisted in a sneer. Corinne's arms folded across his chest. Salvik spoke first. "Princess Anira, you return in shame, not honor. You stand on trial." His voice rang through the hall. Aenira paused. She felt Mara's presence at her back. She drew strength. "No," she said softly. "I return in truth and justice." Corin laughed. "Justice? You hide behind lies and foreign machines." Aenira stepped forward. "I speak the truth. You betrayed our people. You murdered my family. Your lies have no power now." Salvik's eyes flicked to the doorway. More soldiers arrived, but some hesitated, unsure whom to obey. Aenira saw their doubt and raised her voice. "People of Korith, you heard my words across the stars. You saw your leaders plan your downfall. Will you follow traitors or stand for truth?" A murmur rose among the soldiers. Some lowered their weapons. Salvik's sneer faded as soldiers turned away from him. Corin glared, but his authority slipped. Mara stepped beside Aenira. She placed a hand on the princess's shoulder. "They are with you." Corin raised his rifle, but a loyal commander shouted an order. Soldiers surrounded Corin and Salvik, disarming them. The traitors struggled, but could not escape. The hall filled with cheers. Servants and guards knelt as Aenira's loyalists appeared behind her, led by Commander Jorik. Aenira felt tears of relief fill her eyes. Salvik and Corin were led away. Aenira approached the empty throne. She touched its carved armrest, her heart full. Mara watched with pride. The princess had returned and reclaimed her home, her people's hearts restored by truth and courage. Sunlight streamed into the grand hall as Princess Aenira stood before the empty throne. The air buzzed with excitement from her loyal soldiers, and quiet grief from those who remembered the dark days. Captain Mara Lee and Commander Jorik remained by her side, watching keenly. Aenira lifted her hand. Silence fell quickly. Her green eyes shone with both sadness and hope. "My people," she began, her voice soft but clear, "we have suffered under lies and fear. Today, we end that pain." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Aenira's gaze swept over her people, guards, servants, and common citizens. Each face held a story of loss and bravery. She continued, "We will rebuild our world together. No more secrets, no more hiding truth. From this day, Korath will stand on honesty and compassion." Applause rose, gentle at first, then growing stronger. Some soldiers tapped their weapons on the marble floor in salute. Servants whispered blessings. Tears fell down many cheeks, including Aenira's. Mara stepped forward. "Your Highness, the council is ready to restore order. They await your leadership." Aenira nodded. She turned toward a side door where several council seats stood empty. "Let us fill those seats with leaders chosen by the people," she declared. "Let the council be fair and just." Commander Jorik moved to stand beside the council chairs. "We have drafted a list of respected citizens and loyal officers. They will serve until elections can be held." Aenira placed her hand on her sister's locket and spoke softly. "For my sister and for all who believed in our world's promise, I accept this duty." She walked to the first chair and sat. The crowd fell silent again. One by one, Jorik and Mara invited each new council member forward. They took their seats and bowed respectfully. Each face reflected trust and commitment. With the council seated, Aenira rose. "We will open our borders again," she said. "We will share our knowledge, our culture, and our friendship with other worlds." She looked at Mara. "Captain Lee, will you be our ambassador?" Mara smiled warmly. "I will serve, Princess." Aenira placed the locket on the throne's armrest, a symbol of her past and her future. "Let this locket remind us of what we lost and what we rebuild. Together." The crowd cheered, voices echoing through the tall columns. Aenira felt her heart lift. Fear and sorrow weighed less now. Hope filled the hall. In the crowd, a young soldier approached with a datapad. "Your Highness, the refugees from the eastern valleys are arriving. They seek safety." Aenira nodded. "Prepare shelters and welcome them warmly." She smiled at the soldier. "Thank you." As the first refugees trickled into the hall, Aenira turned back to her people. Mara stood beside her, steady and proud. Together, they watched as Koreth's future unfolded, a world reborn by truth, guided by a princess who chose hope over fear. Weeks later, Koreth's palace courtyard bloomed with life. White marble paths wound through new gardens. Soft green grass replaced cracked stone, and clear fountains sang in the warm sun. Citizens walked freely, greeting one another with smiles. Princess Aenira stood by a fountain's edge, watching children chase butterflies. Her silver and blue cloak was now a symbol of hope rather than exile. Captain Marilee stood beside her, arms folded, eyes gentle as she observed the scene. "It feels like a new world," Aenira said softly. She held her sister's locket in her hand, its silver chain warmed by the sun. Mara nodded. "You restored it with truth and courage. Your people trust you now." Aenira's green eyes shone. "But there is still much to do. Rebuilding homes, healing old wounds, and forging new alliances." Mara placed a hand on Aenira's shoulder. "You are not alone. I will help you. Your people chose me as ambassador. Together, we will guide Koreth into a bright future." Aenira smiled. "Thank you, Captain." She opened the locket and touched her sister's portrait. "For her, and for all who suffered." A soft wind blew through the courtyard, fluttering petals from nearby trees. Aenira let the locket close, securing it around her neck. She took a deep breath. "Let us walk." They strolled along the marble path, passing farmers unloading food supplies, builders constructing new homes, and scholars teaching children under open-air pavilions. Each person paused to bow or wave. At the far end, a group of diplomats from neighboring worlds gathered. Tall emissaries in bright robes stood in a circle, speaking in soft tones. Aenira approached them with Mara by her side. One diplomat stepped forward. "Princess Aenira, thank you for welcoming us. We bring gifts of grain, medicine, and technology to aid your recovery." Aenira bowed graciously. "Your friendship honors Koreth. We will share our culture and learn from yours." She turned to Mara. "Please translate my words." Mara spoke smoothly through her comm unit. The diplomats nodded and placed their gifts on a long table. Aenira walked among them, touching each offering with gratitude. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in orange and pink, Aenira and Mara returned to the fountain. The courtyard glowed in the warm light. Children's laughter echoed, and fountains sparkled. Aenira held out her hand to Mara. "Let this moment remind us why we fight. Peace, friendship, and hope." Mara took her hand. "Always." They stood side by side, two leaders from different worlds united by trust. Above them, the twin moons of Koreth rose in the twilight sky. Aenira watched them, her heart full. In that peaceful moment, she knew her journey had only just begun. With Mara's friendship and her people's faith, Aenira would guide Koreth into a new era, one brighter than any storm that had come before.